Hello students, today we are going to start the next chapter, that is mechanical properties of fluids. So first we'll start with the introduction of fluids. So any substance that can flow can be called as fluid. Now when an external force is applied on a fluid, it deforms continuously. So this can also be a property of fluid. So basically a fluid includes liquids, gases and plasmas. So these are the various states of matter and fluid includes these three. Then any fluid can be considered as ideal fluid if it follows some particular properties, like it should be incompressible, that is its density should be constant everywhere, the flow is irrotational, there should not be any disturbance in the flow, that is it should be non-viscous, then the flow is steady. And the basic difference between the solid and the fluid is that the solids can experience the shear stress. About shear stress you have studied in 11th standard. So when some shear stress is applied on a solid, it develops a restoring force. So the shear stress can be applied on a solid, but in case of ideal fluids, only it can be subjected to normal stress or compressive stress. It cannot be subjected to shear stress. So this is the basic difference between the solid and the liquid. So one more thing is that which you have learned earlier also, that is the fluids take the shape of the container. It does not have any definite shape. So moving on to hydrostatics. So the branch of physics which deals with the properties of fluids at rest is called as hydrostatics. Then about pressure you have already learnt and studied in your previous standards. So the normal force exerted by a fluid at rest per unit surface area. So if fluid is there in any container, or if you consider an imaginary container, so fluid exerts some force on that area. So that normal force exerted by that fluid at rest per unit surface area is called as the pressure. So pressure can be written as P is equal to F by A, and this is the dimension for pressure. How to derive dimension you have learned in 11th standard. So the unit of pressure is, so it is force per unit area, so it is Newton per meter square, and it is also called Pascal. Then 10 raised to Newton per meter square is called 1 bar, and 100 Pascal is called 1 hectopascal, which can be written like this. So these units and the conversions from bar to Pascal and all those things you should always remember, which is beneficial for your competitive exams also. Now the next thing is that pressure due to a liquid column. Now just consider a vessel or a container is filled with a liquid having some density of that fluid as rho, and then inside that liquid consider an imaginary cylinder like this, and the cross sectional area of the cylinder is A and the height of the cylinder is h. So when this cylinder is considered, there is some force exerted by that liquid column which is there inside the cylinder. So if we consider that inside this cylinder the mass of the liquid is m, so the force exerted by the liquid column is F is equal to mg. Now this force, it acts downwards. Now it acts downwards on the bottom of the vessel, so the pressure exerted will be force per unit area. So force we have written as mg, so mg by A. Now we consider that the density of the fluid is rho, so we can just write the mass in terms of density, that is rho into V. So as cross sectional area into height will give you the volume, so the mass is rho AH. Substituting the value of mass here, you will get this equation, and finally you get P is equal to H rho G. So basically this equation gives you the pressure P due to a liquid of density rho at rest and at a depth h below the free surface. Now you can see that this pressure, it is independent of the cross sectional area, and it is also independent of the shape and size of the container. Then this is true for liquids also as well as gases, this equation. Now the next thing is atmospheric pressure. So basically earth is made up of a fluid which is called air, and it exerts a downward force due to its weight. So as it exerts a downward force due to its weight, the pressure due to this force, the downward force exerted, the pressure due to this force is called as the atmospheric pressure. Now this atmospheric pressure, it is highest at the surface of the earth, that is we consider as the sea level. So it is highest at the surface of the earth, and as we go above the surface of the earth, it goes on decreasing, because in to find the atmospheric pressure at that particular point, you have to just consider consider an imaginary cylinder of that air column, and as you go away from the surface of the earth, the height of that imaginary cylinder will obviously go on decreasing. So as h decreases, the pressure also decreases. Now the next definition is normal atmospheric pressure. So atmospheric pressure, which we consider at sea level, is called as normal atmospheric pressure. Then one more term which you have read many times, that is vacuum. So the region where your gas pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure. So region where your gas pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure is called as vacuum. So basically this is called as vacuum. Then you have some basic things which you should know about vacuum. So the perfect vacuum is never possible to find out. So perfect vacuum is actually an imaginary thing. Then moving on to the next topic. So these are just some basic definitions which can be asked for 1 mark. So the next one is the absolute pressure and Gauss pressure. So first of all, you have to consider a tank which is filled with water, and then just assume an imaginary cylinder having some horizontal base of area A and height h. So we are considering this point as x1 and this point as x2 with some reference. So x1 minus x2 is equal to h. So this is x1 is obviously greater than x2 because we are considering a reference there. So x1 minus x2 is equal to h. Now if you consider there are some forces acting here. So the force F1, it acts downwards. This force F1, it acts downwards at the top surface of cylinder, and this is due to the weight of the water column above that cylinder. Then you have this force F2 which is acting upwards at the bottom of the surface of the cylinder, and this is due to the water below that cylinder. And the third one is this mg, that is the gravitational force, where that m is the mass of the water in the cylinder. So as we can see that water is in static equilibrium here, so all these forces are balanced. So we can just write that F2, this F2 is equal to F1 plus mg, because they both are in downward direction. So F2 is equal to F1 plus mg. Now suppose at point x1 the force can be written as P1A. Suppose the pressure at point x1 was P1, so force can be written as P1A, and at point x2 P2A. So you have these two formula for the force. Then you have density is equal to mass upon volume. From that you can just write down the formula for mass, that is rho A x1 minus x2. So here A into x1 minus x2 is the volume. Now substituting these formulas or the relations of mass F1 and F2 in this equation, you will get this one. So from this equation you can just cancel out A. So P2 is equal to P1 plus rho x1 minus x2 g. So this equation is used to find pressure inside liquid and atmospheric pressure. So we can just divide this equation. We can just use these equations for two applications. So the first one is the pressure, to find pressure at a depth h below the liquid surface. Now you have to consider a container, and the top part of the the top part of the imaginary cylinder will be at the surface, and consider a point x2 at a depth h below that surface. So in such cases at x1, the pressure will be, atmospheric pressure will be P0, because we are considering this point x1 at the free surface. So x1 will be 0, then P1 is equal to P, and P1 is equal to P0, and P2 is equal to P. So this is the pressure at a depth h, and x2 will be minus h, because we are going below that sea level. Now just substituting these all formulas in this equation, here you can just write this P is equal to P0 h rho g. So this gives you the total pressure of the absolute total pressure P at a depth h below that surface. So we can write this as the summation of P0 plus h rho g that is the pressure due to the atmosphere which acts on the surface of the liquid, and the pressure due to the liquid at a depth h. So the combination of these two. So this was at a depth h. Now if you take P minus P naught is equal to H rho g, this is defined as the Gauss pressure. So it is the difference of the absolute pressure and the atmospheric pressure. So this is absolute pressure minus absolute pressure minus atmospheric pressure, which is called as Gauss pressure. Now the next thing which you can see is that atmospheric pressure at a distance d above the liquid surface. In the previous case we considered below the liquid surface. Now we will consider above the liquid surface. So while considering above the liquid surface, the imaginary cylinder should be like this. The lower part x2 should be here and the upper part x1 should be here. So now x1 will be equal to d here and x2 will be 0 because the lower part we are considering at the free surface. So P1 is equal to P and P2 is equal to P naught. So here P2 is there. So P2 is equal to P naught, and this imaginary cylinder is an air. So the density will be the density of air. And substituting all these equations, we have P is equal to P naught minus D rho G. Here the density we consider as the density of the air. So basically these are few mechanical properties of that fluids. So in this lecture we have covered few of them. The next lecture will be covering the few more properties. So that's all for today. Thank you.